hey, sister, I just don't like that. Yeah, that's all we describe and return and welcome, welcome. He wants to tell you, subscribe, what are you waiting for, guys? Subscribe, smash that notification bell, so that it's running my day. You are in the loop. You set a time in. You don't have a couple of chill, a couple of hours to kill. Maybe 1.5 hours. Let's see how it goes. You know, just perusing these YouTube streets as you do on a Saturday, Saturday afternoon here. It's just gone well in the afternoon. It's from August, I believe, every day. And so, coming I was have a chance to watch yesterday, but came across this line by God Thunder, and he was talking about that and looking shameless is quiet to the and was us and on that have shameless explain fatigue. Okay, so I'm not gonna say much video go through all of the but the matter he did a panel and it was quite interesting with there Freeman Journal was there, shout out to him, Hot Sauce was there, and it makes a really good point. And the comment is this is to these new people. These people coming, they don't know about the community online. And they talk a lot of rubbish about people in these social media spaces. But then when it comes to the matter, they can't stand the heat of the kitchen. They think, oh, it's just a group of weirdos and people complaining about high school and it's all back and now I'm upset and blah blah. And so, it's like the minimum and reach out to the board. And it's funny that people will complain about black women the mind black men. But then you have these black men online, someone talking about you're upset that you didn't get the girl you wanted in high school. Isn't this the same disrespect that the black women are using the same type of shame language that black women use? Some of these black men who try to manage it. And I'm not saying I'm not saying go to the shrine of the red girl, but the word red just means truth, accepting the situation what it is, not what you want it to be, or not what you believe it is. So Anton Daniels, he talked saying what he wanted to say. And if you watch the content, the content that I'm producing for you will know I'm not a fan of Anton Daniels. I have for a long time. Content in my feed, I did like the content. I actually liked him. But what I noticed was once he started, becoming very popular on YouTube, shout out to that they do the featuring in the building. Once do I say because my project or because the is walking? Yeah, Wi-Fi. Oh, is that what you mean? It's walking. I don't know. I can't really bring the room so much closer than it's already, to be honest. So people will know that I'm not really a massive fan of Anton Daniels. I'm not a fan of Anton Daniels because I feel like he's a bit of a fake alpha. He tries to talk like he knows about this space or community or whatever. And he just does it. like a lot of people that come in regurgitating talking points that they heard. And, I mean, you have to understand. It's up to you if you want to understand. But if you talk, but you don't really know what you're talking about, the audio is cutting in and out. I don't know what to do because I brought the router closer to the little device, but I don't know if it's going to make much of a difference. Shut up, bro, from Brom. You're better off restarting this live, to be honest. The audio is way off and hardly audible. Okay, maybe I'll connect. I'll connect the mic. Give me a second, and then. I don't know if that's going to make any difference because using a microphone now, but the problem is the reception. I don't know why this thing is not picking up. Let me know if the audio is better. I don't have the strength to start the live. So I didn't like necessarily. It can be an ego sometimes. And that's what I'm saying. It's like he tries too hard to prove that he's alpha. And I just don't like, I'm not a massive fan of people who talk crap about the manosphere, but then they kind of live off of manosphere talking points. It's a personal gripe of mine. And so, what he's trying to get popular, on YouTube, because, he's got a following, they had a big following on Instagram, and then they bought their platform, the key, to YouTube. And so, once he did that, they really felt like they were going to change the world. I don't know how much they really felt like they were going to change the world. I don't know what they were doing just about the money, to be honest with you. Because they weren't saying anything that had been said already. They really felt like they were bringing something new. They weren't. And they're trying to, in my opinion, they were just trying to make off something that was very profitable. And that's why you see the Connie Michelle switch, Connie Michelle, she wanted to be the sweetheart and the darling, and she wanted to these men, clean up the space as well. I think one of the reasons why I want to touch on this because Dr. asked, did SBE kind of drain Kevin Samuels to the point where it brought on a heart attack in his life? So if you can hear me, no. If you can't hear me, no. Obviously, if you can't hear me, asking you to let me know, but never mind. I don't know if I'm going to put this router to get a better signal. Stupid something. So, and I said to myself, it wasn't really just the SBE fatigue, because Kevin knew what time it was when he embarked on this adventure, because he'd been in the manosphere long enough to know that I find this I'm trying to move this router around to get a better signal, please. Okay. Yes, no. So I'll type in the chat. let me know if the audio. Right? Kevin knew what time it was. Kevin knew that he was dealing with stubborn people. We're not talking about just Black women. We're talking about Black people in general. There's a degree of stubbornness that we exhibit where we don't want to talk, we don't want to hear, we don't want to change, and we just keep doing the same thing over and over, thinking that somehow it's going to change anything. You see, so Kevin wasn't killed by SBE fatigue, in my opinion. You know, sometimes he acted like he was so distressed and so distraught by what he was hearing. But, you know, these conversations have been going around for like decades now. You know, there was the odd white man here, there was the odd white man there. And then, you know, they created the white manosphere, and then Black people had their own spaces and their own conversations. You know, the conversation with the thanks. They said it's a bit better now. I'll try and move it around and see if I can pick up a better signal. But you know, we have an issue with not listening. That's our big problem. We don't listen. And so Anton Daniels came into this pitch trying to be somebody that he was not, or somebody that nobody asked him to be. And now he's like, oh, I'm so drained. I don't feel anything for Black people because da, 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 da. It's like nobody asked you to feel anything anyway. Nobody asked you to I don't know, to fix the community. And as I've said so many times before, I just don't believe that there is a community. Whether you are here in the UK, whether you are abroad in the States or wherever, because obviously it's abroad for me, but it's home for most people who watch this channel. This is not, you're not going to have, there's no community. There is no community. So what exactly are you talking about when you say save the community? What community? There isn't a community to save. Because first and foremostly, you have to have a code. So that's what we need to talk about. You know, and I want to do a video. I shouldn't say it because, you know, there's so many people who they don't want to come through in the chat. You know, let me get my mode on. But they don't want to come through in the chat. They don't want to support the channel. They don't want to like the video. They don't want to do nothing. But at the same time, you know, they be stealing content. They be going around these small channels, you know, picking up ideas, stealing thumbnail ideas, whatever. I'm convinced the audio is slightly better now. Okay, thank you. You see, I'll try and I'm going to keep moving around to see if I can get it in a better position. Maybe I'll bring it closer to the window so that there's less of an obstruction. But you know, these guys, you know, they do go around taking ideas from people, and people get inspired by people. So it's what it is. But obviously, sometimes you want credit for what you do, you know. So I don't think Kevin had SBE fatigue. As I said, he knew what it was when he embarked on this journey, right? Because Kevin had been making content for a long time, and he had come to realize, you know, that he was trying to bring something to people that weren't receptive to hearing it. You know, I saw in the live in my notifications that he did a video. There's something uploaded from Kevin Samuels' page, how a guy went out dressed in two different ways. In one way, he was dressed like a businessman. He had a blazer, smart trousers, work shoes or whatever you want to call them, smart shoes. And then the other day, he went out dressed in a hoodie. When he went out dressed smart, like doors open for him, like he didn't have much fare, but the bus driver was like, "Oh, come on anyway." You know, when he went to the restaurant to eat, he got served first. He got kind of a privileged treatment, blah blah blah. Then when he went out dressed like a typical urban man, you know, I want to pick my words carefully because I don't want to offend people. Then he like everybody treated him a bit more like he didn't get the smiley service, he didn't get this, he didn't get that. And it's like, and then Kevin was like the importance of image. And this is one of the things that I'm not keen on with Courtney. Courtney talks about image, but the image of a man is not the same. I don't want to keep banging on Courtney, but sometimes she's kind of grind my gears a little bit. And you know, she keeps talking about the image of a black woman, but the image of a woman is irrelevant side of the community she comes from to an extent. Because most women, and I'm not really going to like this, a lot of women, when they come to a point where they get tired, they're not going to want to work like a dog, like a man works forever. They're not going to want to be home with their kids. They want to be relaxing. They want to, you know, sip prosecco and watch New Housewives. Okay, maybe that's just me, but whatever floats your boat, going to a 9 to 5 and grinding till you freaking drop dead is not the idea of the average woman's success. Like, women will work their arse off, but they think they're gonna drop down, and then they have like fibroids and depression, an alcohol problem, and then they realize. In fact, a lot of them still realize. They to themselves, I need to keep pressing. And if I keep going, eventually things are going to change. It's like, no, things are not going to change. You're going to get sick and you're going to die. That's what's going to happen. You're going to die at home or you're going to die at your desk. What's going to happen? Because you're working to a level that you're not working because you're supposed to have a partner that you build life with. And so these women are just so conditioned to believe that it's a badge of honor to just work yourself into the ground that, you know, sometimes it's hard to convince them to change their mentality, you know. So Kevin knew what time it was because he'd been making content for some time, and he didn't have SBE fatigue, as I said in my last live stream. I feel like Kevin he tried to do too much and he tried to run before he could walk because he wasn't established. He wasn't established. Yeah, he'd been making content for like 2 years, and you know, his channel blew up in 2 years. But at the end of the day, you're getting properties and cars and doing all these different things, and your source of income is not sure. From Rob said, you're right, there's no community, only a population of Black people in the Western world. You know, yeah, just some Black people living close together. God knows what. See? So Kevin didn't die from that. Kevin was just greedy, doing too much, and he had created a situation that was very stressful for himself because of the way he was, the way he moved, the way he worked with other content creators. He wanted all of the glory for himself, and unfortunately, he created a noose with which he ended up hanging himself. In my opinion, it's not hard to say, but that's how I feel. Because had Kevin worked with other people instead of trying to do everything by himself, he would have exhausted himself to the point that he did. And at one point, I was maybe Kevin knew that he's on borrowed time. But then I thought to myself, why would you be arguing with a chick in your house if you know stress is going to bring a heart attack? Like, why would you bring anything into your life that's going to increase the chances of a heart attack if the doctor's already told you, like, you're on borrowed time, so don't stress yourself? would you bring a stressful person into your life if you know stress is going to probably end your life? So I don't think the way Kevin was moving there in the past, or in that last live stream, I don't think he knew he was going to die. I really don't think he knew he was going to die. But it just happened because he's arguing with a woman in his house, and he should be praying, like, oh, you have one for the grave. Like, with all due respect, you have one foot in the grave, and any of us can. Like I said, I was in hospital. I was a walking dead person. I didn't know I was as sick as I was. I felt terrible. I didn't know I was that bad. Right? Any one of us, God forbid, we could be a walking dead person. If it wasn't for the grace of God, I wouldn't be here today. And I'm not even trying to be like hyperbolic. I'm being serious. Because when I went to the hospital and they saw my results, that they started to do tests, you know, if you have a white piece of paper, the white woman was whiter than the paper. When she looked at the result, I mean, I only got up off the bed and said, you will lie down because you don't look well. You look less well than me, because the way she was shocked by the results, you know, she looked like she was about to faint, in her pants or something. I don't know. I just said, look, you don't look well. Do you want to lie down? I'll get up and you can lie down. But it's the grace of God why I'm still here, you know. So we don't know what tomorrow holds. You know, we don't know what tomorrow holds. We don't know. Sometimes I met a friend from work as I was on the bus, actually. She saw me and she said, I got this pain and my mind ran on you. And I was like, get it out. Take that time off work. The money will be there. The job will be there. But without the health, you can't make money. Without the ability to get up and think and move, you can't make money. So the money's nice, but people said health comes first, and it's true. You see, so Kevin didn't really kill him, didn't die because of SBE fatigue. He died of just normal fatigue. Okay? He ran himself to the ground, chasing the big bucks instead of focusing on whatever. So in Dr. Thunder's video, Hot Sauce, was it Hot Hood Conservative? Shut up, Hood Conservative. He was like, you cannot save a community unless you save the boys. And that's where the focus needs to be. Because at the end of the day, the conversations that we're having in these spaces has gone around and around, and we know what the arguments are. It's do or die time. People need to choose, what do they want to do? Do you want to continue in this dysfunction, or do you want to make the change necessary? Do you want to die like a hero or a zero? That's the only, I'm not going to say that's the only conversation. You know, I'm not going to say it's the only conversation, because I understand people come in the space all the time. They knew and need to catch up. So I'm not against having the same conversations over and over and over in one sense. But at the same time, for the people who are veterans in this state, you know, all got to make a decision. Do we want to continue on this path that is not productive, or do we want to produce something that's productive? Because what you know, all these people talking about divesting and running away to other communities, I picture it almost like, shout out to the meeting said, true, but Kevin did interview unruly ladies all the time. Yeah, he interviewed unruly ladies, but really and truly, what's exhausting is repeating yourself. Because these women, like Anton Daniels, like Michelle, like the Umar Johnson, not really Umar Johnson, but like these new people that, for example, have come kind of close to the space. I wouldn't say in the space because, you know, they hate being labeled as part of the space. I'm part of the manosphere. It's like, oh, you hurt me so bad when you say these words. How dare you? It's like no one's asking you to be part of the manosphere. Why are you saying it like anybody cares that you're not part of the manosphere? You know what? Ow. I'm joking. That's just me. And it was so horrible. I'm just like, who asked you to be? You know, when they say it like they're trying to throw a shot, it's like, was that shot over the bow. No, it kind of went into the atmosphere of space. Nobody cares that you don't want to be part of the manosphere. And no one invited you. I don't know. That's so horrible and so petty. So, what was I saying? You know, these guys, they don't classify as part of the manosphere. They come in late and then they start talking about things that have been exhausted to death. Like, you know, this conversation about pro-blacks and things like that. It's not even a conversation that's on live support anymore. It's thoroughly dead worm food, because we already know that the Umar Johnson type of pro-black is not a person who can build a community. You know, shout out to Missy Rashawn, who was reviewing Umar Johnson's video where he's criticizing LeBron James. And you know, working in and out, I can't really hear properly. I'm not really concentrating. But, you know, it looked like Umar Johnson was trying to give LeBron James work about his failing school. And my question was, Umar Johnson, did you ever finish the school that you said you were going to finish? And if you did, are there any children in there? Like, does Umar Johnson have a functioning school with actual children? Or, you know, what's going on with that? Because I just find it strange that somebody who hasn't got a functioning school has the audacity to open his mouth to talk about what LeBron James is doing in school. Shout out to Stoic One in the building, Day One, and Dane C. Good to see you guys in the building. I don't understand how Umar Johnson has the audacity to talk about what LeBron James is doing, because I said LeBron James is on the right track. Even if his school has got issues, he can always fix those issues. He's got money, he's got clout, he should be able to get together. But Umar Johnson has been talking about this school that he's building for like a decade, and up to now, people can't see what he's talking about. So why are you talking when you need to be working? Tell them that the investors will learn the interpolitics of the other race and culture. Thank you, because that's what I was about to say. When I look at this situation where people are so invested in dating out, and I'm not against dating out. If you want to date out, it's your business, you know, but people are so invested in dating out. But it's like, how I look at it is like, you know, when you were at school and they, you know, the class would come into the playground and they would pick some team captain and everybody takes turns to pick. So, you know, team captain A pick person. Oh my gosh, Dr. Thunder inspired this conversation. I'm so humbled that you are in the chat. God bless you. You know, you know, team captain A picks, then team captain B picks, and then team captain C picks. And then as the group gets smaller, it's like, with all due respect, if that was you, you know, sometimes I think that was me, you know, the people who are left on drinks. You know, it's like when you have a drink and then you look at the bottom of the cup and there's like something sloshing around in there. Like these rejects, it's like, okay, out of these people that I don't really want on my team, which one is best? And it's like, with all due respect, that's how I see Black people in a lot of these Western countries. Like, you are really trying to get on another person's team, but what you need to do is make a strong team of your own. Okay, because the people that you're trying to get on their team, they don't really want you there. Okay, it's like, okay, I'll take some of you because we have to empty this group. Like, all of you need to be picked, but we don't really want you guys that are left at the end. You know, it's like whoever gets first pick, they're really trying to think who is the best person for this team. And bit by bit, the people who are the best and the strongest, the most popular, they get picked. And then, like, you've got this ragtag bunch at the end. And everyone's like, well, we don't really want any of these people. It's like, okay, so which one's next out of this group that's left? It's like, and Black people just don't want to accept that this is how it goes. Like, people don't necessarily want to embrace Black people, but they have to because we're here. You know, people say it's chipping in and out. I tried to move the thing, I tried to move it again. But Black people need to build their own group. You know, as you know, Malcolm X said, you know, people need to do themselves instead of trying to get on these other teams, as it were. So people are thinking interracial dating and dating out is going to fix the problem. It's not really going to fix the problem, because you have to assimilate into a culture that doesn't necessarily want you. So we've had conversation a lot of times, but they don't understand that this conversation has been exhausted, and we are exhausted having this conversation if you've been here long enough. So it's do or die time. Pick your weapon and fight, you know. And those who are so it once said Umar spits and Pinnica. Go and under educate a white woman, an Asian woman, or Jewish woman, and see what happens. With Black women, it's just another day. Yeah, it's a cultural problem. Conservative was right that you cannot fix a community by trying to fix women. If you fix the men, the women will automatically be changed, because the women do what they can get away with. You know, as a community, we don't equally honestly in our sons, and we expect brothers to pull 180 and match or surpass men of other races. It's crazy. They don't care about Black men. And this was an interesting point that Dr. Thunder brought, that, you know, these guys are not caring about their daughters as well. It's just a culture of selfishness, and it's not going to lead to anything. You know, a lot of this stuff that these Black women, for example, online talk, it's just talk. It's just talk. They want to continue the smoke and mirrors, where they act like we really care about the community, or we really care about building something that's functional, but at the same time, we're going to do everything in our power to basically undermine the development of a so-called community. Shout out to the Afropolitan podcast in the building. Happy Saturday and good afternoon. Then they run to men of other places that actually invested in their sons, you know. And it's fun, guys, because I came across a short yesterday, and the short was a Black guy asked a guy in Korea, would you date a Black woman? And he's like, yeah, you know, I like a Beyonce, and the Black woman got a boobs. Like, wow. Out of everything you could have picked in the universe to describe a Black woman, you like Beyonce, you like the singing and dancing and the spinning around and the riding around that she does, and you like bigger boobs. And it's like the divestors will be like, see, men of our races, they want us. Yeah, they want you for sex. They want you for sex and they want you for fun. You didn't say, oh, you know, the Black woman is so nurturing, she's so kind, she's so loving. These are the things that build a long-term relationship, because you don't want to be with somebody you just got a big boobs forever. You know, those boobs are not going to last forever. You know, anything can happen to you, and the boobs and everything gone. You're going to shrivel up. Everybody, you know, gravity always working. Gravity is always working. Gravity doesn't take a day off. So the boobs are going to go south. The booty's going to go south. Everything's going to go south. Very hard to fix an unwed single mom community. You see? And shout out to Coach EO, Everett Overton. I really like his content. I feel like he's a grown man who talks like, you know, a man who's lived. The single moms wouldn't be so bad if they had the right attitude. And the reason why I say that is because you have people complaining about women who don't have children. So with or without kids, women are just stuck in the West because too much freedom has literally destroyed a lot of women. You know, they've been given power that they can't even wield. They don't even know what to do with. And this is why, you know, Pearl is getting a lot of backlash. The thing she said about, you know, taking women's rights away. I've said that, but I've never said it in the sense like just take women's right away blanket statement. Let me see if I can move this something again. Why are you choppy? Oh. So let me know if it's better or, you know. I'll pick this point up about rights away from the laws. The white men are the ones who want to assert and make their women with all due respect to a level that don't see black men really wanting to do that. Black men don't have that mentality to destroy women. They really don't. Let me see. Where am I going to put this in now? Caramba. Shout out to the Harvard nurse in the building. He said I'm breaking up. I'm going to put this in. We're experiencing some technical difficulties. I don't know where to put the router to make it catch a good signal. Sound is cracked. Yeah, it's knackered, poor thing. Poor little thing. Oh. It's a bit better. What was I saying now? Remind me, because you know I'm getting old. So running away to other communities is not going to fix the problem. And back in the day, we know that men didn't mind dating women with kids so much as long as she came with the right attitude. But a lot of women with or without children, they don't necessarily have a mentality that's conducive to a successful relationship. And as we were saying in the last video, somebody commented, you know, about the manosphere fixing things. You know, we can't build a community without a code. So we need to do a live stream where we build a code and we start telling our brothers and sisters it's time to get on code. That's what we need. Because when you look at other quote unquote communities, whether it's a religious community or thank you, yeah, everybody please hit the like button. It does help the channel. You know, this is what we need. We need a code of ethics where there's it's going to be hard to build still, because when you look at other cultures and communities, there's also a punishment when you break the code. You get benefits from being on code, and then there are punishments and there are things you're excluded from when you break the code. But unfortunately, because of the way we have systems that undermine a community, it's very difficult to build a code, and you have to just appeal to people and ask them to please put your selfishness aside to start doing what's in the interest of other Black people so we can build something. Because the individualism doesn't work. You don't have enough power. You don't have enough influence or clout to build something if you don't have everybody pulling together. So you and your own might be good, but you're still living in a situation where everyone around you is like, one person is going up and everyone else is just like a parasite trying to live off you or whatever. It's just not going to work. You know, shout out to everybody who said, yeah, you know, the white man always got his foot on my audio. You know, the white man, he's always doing something he shouldn't be. Now we can hear that distinguished voice. Oh, I thought he said disgusting. I was gonna say, yeah, my voice is a bit much. I hate my own voice. I told you this so many times. I hated when we had to do a language assessment. Back then we used tapes. That's how old I am, you know. And you had to record a piece of like you had to speak some, like, you know, describe something or read something, and you had to record it and give it to your teacher. Oh God, I used to record it and just give it, because I couldn't even face listening to it. I think that's the point of individualism. See, and this is something that Edward Anderson used to talk about a lot. I don't know if I think he got it also a talking point from Jason Black, the hyper individualism. Like, it's not going to build a functioning community, because as they say, no man is an island. So we can't build anything without everybody coming on board. And the victimhood and the, you know, let's just try to guilt white people into giving us stuff, it's just not going to work. It's not going to work. It's not going to happen. So it says, never disgusting. Oh, you're so sweet. Your check is in the post. So that's what we do. We do need to do a live stream on the concept of building a code. And that code is going to help us to move with a direction. Because what the problem with individualism is everybody's going in different directions. There's no unification. There's no cohesion. There's no clear goal in mind. So we're all just running around like headless chicken, just, you know, just doing whatever we want. Jondon. I think that's how you say it. Yeah, I used to hate how deep my voice was when I was a kid, but I love the bass now. You got a deep voice, Dane. Really? Sometimes I always pictured you having a higher pitched voice. That's crazy. You got a deep voice. I have to do a Patreon and you come whisper something to me. Dr. Umar criticizes professional Black men for getting their ish together. No other group focuses on the loser class. I don't see why Blacks do it, especially American Blacks, but it's time to separate. And you see, this is the thing. Black American culture, as we know, is very unique in terms of how this group of people came to exist, because it's not like they have generations of culture that is theirs. Many of the things are things that they learned or was forced upon them. So I am sympathetic to Black Americans, because it's a different, you know, and this is why I get annoyed with the Myrons of the world. This is just like a stream of consciousness where I had a lot of things I needed to say. So if it's all over the place, I mean, come on, man, you know, that's how this thing rolls. Just stop pretending. You know, Myron is out here talking as a black Arab about, you know, blacks in America don't have it hard. Yeah, with all due respect, yeah, you would say that, because as a black Arab, you know, and with all, you know, if you're Muslim and, you know, over here, you know, we love you in humanity, but I don't believe in Islam. In Islamic countries, blacks are not treated well. That's common knowledge. Whether you like it or you don't like it, racism does exist in the Islamic world. And he's probably thinking that, you know, if you were a black in certain places in the world today, you would be treated less than dirt on a shoe. So compared to that, Myron is like, you don't have anything to complain about because you're living in the richest country in the world, blah, 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 blah. But we all know the story of the elephant. You know, if you get an elephant that's very young, chain it to a tree, that elephant is too small and too powerless to break free. So when you condition that elephant to feel like they're powerless, even when that elephant could run, you know, and trample an entire town, it doesn't have the mentality to do it any longer, because that mentality has been beaten out of the elephant. And so people who have been in prolonged periods of poverty, prolonged periods of discrimination, prolonged periods of like disrespect, and people just like a lot of white people today cannot be overtly racist because the time and the culture has changed. It's not socially acceptable to be overtly racist. But I was just watching the news last week, and there was a biracial boy saying he's getting bullied at school because he's black. Well, he's not black, he's biracial, but he's obviously blacker than the white kids. It's obvious because of the way he looked. He's not fully white, and he's experiencing racism. The racism hasn't gone away. It's just underground. You just need the right stimulus to come about, and you see that racism coming to the top like cream. Wherever there's nothing significant on the table, white people, if you're white, you know, it's up to you. You can be upset. This is how I personally feel. When there isn't something significant on the table, white people can be cool with you. But the moment there's a limited resource, whether it's jobs, whether it's housing, whether it's just popularity, then you see that competitive nature, and then by, you know, coming together, forming Voltron against everybody on the outside. You know, all of a sudden, these people come here and they take our jobs and do this and they do that. Yeah, and when you the country, what did you do? This is the thing I don't really fancy with white folk. If you're white and you don't agree, I mean, that's up to you. You can say what you want. But white people have gone all around the world, basically raping the land and the people. Everywhere they went, they were kind of parasitic. Okay? They leave the land, they take the resources, they kill off the people, and then afterwards they're talking about how come these people have had such and such, and they still haven't got anywhere, and they still haven't done anything. Yeah, because you went with everything, then you implement laws that haven't benefited the actual people. That's why. So white people created some of these dysfunctional black people by keep them in a state of poverty. Because, you know, over here we're talking about Windrush. Windrush is when after the Second World War, you know, ended and Britain was bombed out, the Prime Minister, you know, discreetly went to the West Indies and begged all these Jamaican people to come to England to help build England. That's why it came. They didn't just think, oh, you know, England's bombed out, so let's go over there. No, he secretly went over there and begged for professionals to come help build up the UK. 75 years later, now they're talking about, oh, where's your papers? You need to go back. Go back to where and do what? People that's never seen Jamaica are being told to go back to Jamaica. And in I went to a film festival a couple of weeks back, and there was a black woman. She's coming from, was a black man about when he was when it was a black woman, talking about how when these guys started working, you know, everybody based on race got a different rate of pay. So the white man got the most and the black man got the least. The Asian man got a bit more than the black guy, but not as much as the white guy. These discriminatory practices contributed to the attitudes that black people have. It's contributed to the mentality, the way black people see themselves. You know, this desperation to be accepted by white people and things like that. White people created this culture, but now that the culture's bit them in the ass because these people are becoming like out of control in some spaces. Now all of a sudden it's, oh, the negrification of America. Oh my God, I can't walk down the street. I'm so frightened because of all these black people. Yeah, well, they're bloody hungry. They're hungry and they're desperate and they're destitute and they have a bad mentality because you helped to create that culture. I don't feel sorry for you. This is the monster you created. Because when a black man had the capacity to do the job, even a white man who didn't have the capacity, you give that job to the white man instead of the black man so he can feed his family. So if the people are damn hungry, what do you expect them to do except feed? What do you expect them to do except commit crime? What do you expect them to do except sell drugs? Because the drug dealer is living better than the honest, hard-working man. I'm not condoning it. But when people get desperate, they do desperate things. So why are white people out here talking? Why are you out here talking? When you know what your people did. This is the thing I don't like. This is the thing I don't like. You know, some people out here talking about, I only date white people. And black white people talking about, I only date white people. As if to say anybody's hurt that you don't want them. A lot of people don't want white people either because they know what white people did to their ancestors. So basically, you're looking down on people of other races and you're saying, I only want to date a white person. But the white man is not really, the white man is only strong because of the way other white people have crowded around him to build him up and give him opportunities that other people haven't been afforded. This is why white supremacy is really dying, because at the end of the day, you don't need to go to the white man anymore to get a job. Back in the day, white people could exclude you from opportunities, jobs, housing, you name it. You could be driving down the road and the white police officer just crack your damn headlights and says, you know, I'm fining you because your headlight's broken, even though he's the one who just broke it. Those things can't really happen so openly anymore. So as a result, you see, you know, the grip of white supremacy is getting weaker because we're not dependent on white people for every little thing. But like that elephant that's chained, once you have that mentality, oh, I can't move forward, I can't progress, I can't this, I can't that. Even when the opportunity is right there on the table in front of you, you're going to struggle to pick it up because your mindset has not been cultivated to think a certain way. You see, and it's people like Dr. Umar Johnson who keep the black community in a state of stagnancy, because at the end of the day, he's the kind of man who wants to focus on the weakest link instead of focusing on the stronger links and building those links up. Because it's like if you focus on the stronger people and build people up, the average will go up. But if you keep focusing on the weaker people, even the ones who have capacity, they're going to become discouraged. They're either going to fail or they're going to leave. And that's what we're finding. You see, but, you know, do black people want to go forward? Maybe not. That's why Umar Johnson has a following, because he's yeah, he's just a ridiculous person. I can't bear the sight of him. I really can't. Every time I see his face or hear his voice, I cry a little bit inside. You see? So Myron is an idiot and needs to focus on poverty in his own homeland. Yeah, you see, and that's why Pearl ran to join him, because she has the mentality, well, I can't say certain things because I'll be labeled as racist. But if Myron is brown and he says it, well, then I can just nod in the appropriate place, and then nobody can say I'm racist. I'm just repeating what a black person said. Is Myron even black, or is he just a melanated Arab? You know, and you know, Fresh is just a big sellout and goofy. You know, I think he just sits there because, you know, the Fit podcast wouldn't sound so good. So he's just there to add the word fresh, but he's not really adding any real value, in my opinion. But okay, whatever. You know, they like it. Oh, shit. Playing Skyrim. I tried to avoid this trap on the floor, but it still got me. Stupid stuff. So, Myron is a big sellout. I can't bear him either. Myron. Walter, you know, just ridiculous. Some has run up the backside of Myron, who is firmly lodged in the white person's rectum, and about he wants to take on Tariq Nasheed and Umar Johnson with Nick Fuentes, who was on TV last Sunday. I couldn't watch it. It was Louis Theroux, and it was talking about the undercurrent, like how the far right, the far right has become like a revive. And one of the people they actually interviewed, or Louis Theroux interviewed, was Nick Fuentes. I was like, I know who that guy is. Now, I didn't really know who he was before, because when I started watching The White Manosphere, and then I kind of got into, but I didn't really know what it was. It was far-right content, like Lawrence Southern, Brittany Pettibone. There was another white guy, and I had to unsubscribe from him because he started talking about the Negrification of America. And I said, the what? What did you just say? I had to rewind that. I listened to that, like, how, I said, you said what? You call it the what? The whatification? Man, I was like, are you for real? Are you for real? You're out here talking about the so-called Negrification of America when most of what you have, you stole from black people. Are you dumb? Are you dumb? When I hear white people talk that kind of rubbish, man, I start losing my attitude quickly. You're talking about the Negrification when you walk to that country and rob. Are you stupid? Bro, don't get me started. Don't get me started. You steal music, you steal dances, you steal clothes, you steal ideas, you steal patents, and then you're talking about Negrification. White man, don't sit down somewhere. Sit down somewhere. I can't remember that guy's channel, and I really liked it because he was like really anti, feminism. He was really talking about how so many policies in the liberal agenda, and he started talking about this Negrification, and I was like, hold up. First and foremostly, who asked you to go to Africa and take these black people to America and the West Indies, South America? Who asked you? Who asked you to go pick those people up? Who asked your granddaddy? All right, not you. Who asked your grandpa to go over there and pick those people up? Who? Who asked you? Who asked them? Who? So when the white man starts running his mouth about the immigrants, bro, you were the immigrant at one point. You were the immigrant running around stealing this and stealing that. What are you talking about? Are you dumb? I tell you, I lose my attitude when I hear white people complaining, because the white people can be the biggest parasite. And I'm not talking about fair skin. I'm talking about if you're white English or white American. Let me make it very clear. And I don't hate white people, but I hate rhetoric. Because these same white people who complain, a lot of them, they have this discrimination in their heart, but they can't face it. The reason why people don't like Nick Fuentes is not because he's a racist and an anti-Semitic and a misogynist and all these things they claim. They hate Nick Fuentes because he has the balls to say what a lot of white people think. Let me tell you that straight. He's got the courage to come out and say, we don't think women should vote. We don't think women should work. But in his organization, he doesn't even allow women to hold a position of power. What he said to the root is, when women are in like the midst of men, then like problems break out. Basically, the women bring destruction, they bring chaos, and you know it's not like when the men come together. And it was so funny. Louis Theroux asked Nick Fuentes directly, "Do you think women should vote?" And Nick Fuentes said no. And my mind went straight to Pearl, because I know Pearl got that talking point from white boys. Because years ago, I used to hear Turd Flinging Monkey. He was a massive advocate of take women's rights away, take women's vote away. So I know she didn't just, she didn't, we know Pearl doesn't have a thought process. Anything she says, she picked it from somewhere. Because she's too young and too inexperienced in life to come to certain conclusions without somebody influencing her, right? And because she's desperate to try and get acceptance from the guys in the white manosphere, she just regurgitated this talking point about take women's rights away, which I'm not going to agree with, because when people have no rights, they have no power. And when they have no power, they're open to being abused. And this is what we see with the men. The men now have limited rights. Women seem to have free reign. So the men are being abused and the women are trampling over the men. And so these guys who are talking about take women's rights away, they just want that to happen so they can trample the women back the way they were trampled. That's my opinion. And people are talking ish about Americans when they live here and won't leave. Yeah, it's like people complaining about the West, and then they're getting in the boat and risking their life to come here to the place where they claim it's so awful, it's so terrible and so degenerate. So yeah, they get proper cheeky. See, the high value nurse says the FBAs that are really about coding are doing it even with the challenges. The issue with people like Byron is that, who the hell stopped me now? The issue with people like Byron is that he will downplay the same people who paved the way for immigrants like him. Yeah, and this is again something that I don't fancy with him. He's just a little sellout, He's a sellout. Talking rubbish, but like I said, because he's so firmly fixed in the white man's backside, and he probably has a large white audience, he can't afford to be open about how certain things, or when he's comparing bad treatment of blacks in America versus bad treatment of black people in other countries where they really don't have rights, it's night and day to him. See, so that's why he kind of, he doesn't have a good perception of what's really going on. He just says, you know what, it's not that bad, suck it up. It's not that bad, suck it up, And, because he has that rhetoric, he's going to get a lot of white supporters who like that kind of, there's a word, it's like vindication. See, it's not really that bad. See, us black white people, we're not really hurting black people. See, a black person said it's not really that bad, so it can't be that bad. Here, take my money, Myron is just a YouTube prostitute, bruv, just running around collecting cash for saying cash rubbish. That's how I see the guy. And if you see him, you can tell him I said that. I don't know. Okay, not much, a little bit, I guess. So so yeah, so that's how it goes down. You know, Myron just wants that money from YouTube by saying that. I gotta concentrate and play at the same time. I can't. I can barely concentrate. So yeah, so he's like, "Oh, I'll do a live stream with Nick Fuentes against who? Tariq Nasheed and Umar Johnson. These are like two of the worst people you could pick. How about you go toe to toe with Jason Black? Jason Black will eat you alive because Jason Black is not the same kind of pro-black as Tariq and Umar. Tariq uses a lot of wordplay and, you know, us versus them, and he gets people riled up and everything. He's better than Umar, but he's not as strong as Jason because Jason Black is talking about money. Jason Black is talking about power. He's not talking about hidden history and YouTubians like Umar. Umar is all talk and no action, an empty barrel making a lot of noise. He looks like a damn barrel. He should not criticize with all the degeneracy going on in his homeland. Do you know what I mean? You got people, not you or white women. I'm talking about white people saying they only want to date white people as if anybody's gonna miss them. The roof is on top of cushion. Looks like that cushion is a good antenna. Can't mentally, aka the struggle of the first step. Right. The first step is the hardest. Why do my intro is so long? I have to do the dance, get worked up. Like, do I really want to go live? Do I? So I was like, yeah, get all pumped. And then I have the energy. It's not, I don't put the intro for you guys, I put the intro for me because I need that 30 seconds to just do some lunges. Brothers and sisters, we have to save every black person alive, even though it's rather improbable and impossible. And it wouldn't be so improbable if you didn't focus on the weakest people. And the thing is this, strengthening the people who are strong will create less people because people are not born weak. Because when you think about when you were a child, you really had high dreams about what you could accomplish, even though those dreams were not real. I mean, I broke my head open and woke up in the hospital because I watched some gymnastics on the TV and thought I could do a triple somersault. And instead of landing on my feet, I landed on my damn head, cracked my skull open, and ended up in the hospital. Maybe that's why I got memory problems now, I don't know. What excuse I'm using anyway. We rebuke dementia in the name of Jesus. Right? Our ability to imagine and aspire is so high when we're young because we're naive and we're stupid. We don't know much about life, and you know, we don't understand the challenges and things. But then at the same time, when we start becoming more so-called mature, it's like when Peter Pan was like, when did you stop believing you could fly? I don't know if anyone's watched Peter Pan, I think with Robin Williams. And it's like, what happened to you? You used to fly and you used to fight Captain Hook and you used to fight the crocodile and you used to do this and you used to do that. When did you become this boring person? I think he said to one of the Lost Boys that went back, and then he grew up and he grew old and he lost his magical power. And like Peter Pan, we know it's a syndrome and we know it's also a demon. It's like Ptah. And this is where we get the concept of pan pipes, because Pan was the goat god, if you remember. I did when I talked about that girl who she got 1 million in the first day or the first week of doing OnlyFans, I can't remember what her name is. And I went through the whole concept of the goat god and how this goat god, half man, half goat, would play the little pipe, the windpipes in the woods and lure boys, according to the legend, into the woods, and then he would have sex with them. So Peter or Peter Pan is actually about uh, uh, Pan, the goat god, leading lost boys out. That's why his crew is called the Lost Boys, Pan and the Lost Boys. And they become lost because he leaves them and they never come back. So, you know, you think Disney is nice, and it's not nice. But you got to know the theory, the history, or the legend, right? So you could build a functioning community if you didn't focus on the worst people and enable the worst people, because some of them don't want to be helped, don't want to change. They're like a bottomless pit that you just keep throwing resources at, and it never amounts to anything. And that's bad to say, but those people weren't born like that. Situations and circumstances developed them into those types of people, and it's unfortunate. I'm not going to say they can't be helped, but some can't be helped because their mentality is so messed up and they don't want to change. Like, I knew a guy and he had a drug problem, and I said to him, why do you take, and we're not talking about smoking weed, we're talking about class A's. And he's like, because I like it. Because his brain has been changed. After you start taking certain types of drugs, your brain actually changes. The same way you need air and food and water, that drug addiction becomes part of that part of the psyche. And so the way you crave to eat, when when you're hungry, you start opening the fridge all the time and the cupboard, you need that drug. It's not really he likes it, but he needs it because it's addicted. You see? So Omar Johnson is like and also Omar Johnson is the kind of man who takes advantage of the people who don't want to change. So when he's saying, we got to save the worth of society, well, he's one of them. He's just like them. That's why they like him. He's one of those people who is like at the bottom of the barrel because all he does is live off other people. He claims to be good and stuff, but there's no fruition. It's just all talk. So people who are all talk, they're going to like him. The hardworking FBAs are leaving and separating from the ratchet class like every other culture. But unfortunately, the ratchet class wants the black person who is doing well to come back and save them or save your community. I don't know if the manosphere is dead. I don't know, because I've heard a lot of people say, some people have said this, some people haven't. I don't know, really. Because the people who are the veterans who stay true to the message, and they're still here. But unfortunately, popularity and entertainment, those people are the ones that are getting all the shine, I guess. So in some respects, the manosphere is dead, not because the people who are putting in the work and not calling it out for what it is are no longer speaking, but so many new people have come in. They come with their own agenda, they come with their own mentality, and they think like, I want to hear a certain type of content, and then people they come close to the manosphere. They produce content that looks a bit like manosphere content, but it's not really that. But those who are not aware, they can't really distinguish. So I don't know to what extent I would say it's dead, but I don't know. Stoic One says those castles were epic. Must admit. I mean, at the end of the day, if you're gonna bring ratchet people on your show, you're gonna get them to behave. You know what I mean? They're gonna act out. So, You know, it's keeping them on the show for the purpose of kicking them out. So again, that's another reason why I'm not keen on the show, because he's not really trying to have conversations. I mean, I just don't like the guy. I just don't like the guy. That's it. You're not going to get sensible behavior from ratchet people. So saying suck it up to black folks is feel-good content for palm-colored people. Yeah, because that's what they want to say as well. You know, oh, slavery wasn't really that bad. Okay, Paul, come, let me whip you. I will whip you. You know, I'll hang you from a tree, and while you're dying, I'll cut your chest off because you don't have a penis for me to cut off. Because it wasn't that bad. You know, I'll chain you to some white people and then, you know, not swim you, sell you to another land and force you to speak a language you don't speak. And, you know, I'll grape you. Well, I can't personally grape anybody. I can't grape a woman. And then when you have a son, I'll put a bag on both your heads and make you two have sex. How about that? We can do this. You're young, so you've got plenty of time. What's Pearl now? In her early 20s? So by the time that her son, this is so crass. It's even shameful to talk about. And Pearl is out here talking about it's not that bad. It's not that bad. Were some aspects of slavery or whatever embellished? I wouldn't say they were embellished, right? We know these things happened. You know, I think some of the representations in media were not always accurate, but a lot of the things happened. But they just want to say, suck it up, because they don't want to feel guilty. Oh, God, a few minutes, something's coming. They don't want to feel guilty. And the thing is this, if you feel guilty, then you have to admit that you made a mistake, and what you did, it needs to be rectified. This is why white people say suck it up, because they don't want to give money or, you know, address the racism that's still under the surface. They don't want to address those things. So they have to downplay it instead. See? And that's not to say that racism has got, you know, it does exist. It still exists. But the grip is not strong. This is why I can't black people who talk about white supremacy doesn't exist. You know, just because you kiss the ass of white people doesn't mean that they embrace you. To George Gordon in the building. What are the number one marks? Power and influence. Yeah, I mean, Jason Black talks about the concept of power and influence and making money move and being a producer. He's not talking about power, black power, Wakanda forever. So if you got on the mic with Nick Fuentes, you could easily wipe the floor with Tariq and Umar. You know, the reason why he picked Tariq and Umar is because a lot of people respect them for whatever reason. Tariq, as I said, is better than Umar. At least when Tariq says he's going to do something, he actually does it, unlike what it looks like Umar. But a lot of people respect them. So it's like David and Goliath. Nick Fuentes and Myron, you know, going up against the giants. And it's like, we will slay them. No, you need to go up against somebody who's intelligent, who's actually going to give a Nick Fuentes one for his money. He said, I will never take CBA serious until he shows his face. You see, I don't show my face. A lot of people don't show their face. when I first came into this space, the majority of people did come up that I watched, not this space, actually the white manosphere, but there were lots of people who didn't show their face. TFM, Sandman, I had a long list, Undead Chronic. We don't know what these people look like, but they still have huge followings, you see. And showing your face to me doesn't make a difference, because I'm not here to worship and run behind anybody personally, like I need a new mommy or a new daddy or whatever. I want information, I want knowledge, I want to think about what's being presented, and then I'm going to think about how I can implement that information in my life if I need to implement it. So, because we see CPAG's face, but she doesn't talk anything but rubbish. Like 95% of what she says is garbage. We're not going to say she's not right about certain things, but the reality is it's got such a taint to it that it doesn't even really make sense. So, and even if it made a bit of sense, it's not like it's information that's really going to help you. You know, the information, it doesn't help, it just harms, you know. Yeah, I don't know if it hurt because I was knocked out. Did TBA ever explain why he uses images of Aldrich Cleaver, given the fact that he was a known gravist? I don't even know. I don't know why. I think there is something about. I've got the book actually. When I heard the story a little bit about it, I went and bought the book. I haven't read it yet. The Baphomet, yeah, you know. God. And now when you're on TV, you see they put goats all the time. I think, what's the significance? I know what it is. All Satyr, both of those are goat demons. One from demonology, another one from Greek myth. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, the idols are just empty. But when you worship an idol, a demon will come and live in it, because the demons are like disembodied spirits of the giants from the flood. They want to be back in a body, so they inhabit objects and animals and people in order to feel what they felt when they had a physical body. They're not the same as fallen angels. There's a channel called John Saul that talks about the messed up history of fairy tales. Yeah, I mean, some of them are really gruesome. Fairy tales, songs, movies. If you know what the undertone is, you be shocked. Umar Johnson, I don't know if he became a super simp or if he was just a super simp, but he uses that simping to. Umar Johnson is basically Derek Jackson in the cheeky. It's true. And people lap it because they don't really want to change. As Bronze, shout out to Bronze by the building says, ratchet behavior sells. Because he has no talent, he doesn't live what he thought. He's been exposed as a major trick. And the thing is this, if he just wanted to be an orator and a motivational speaker, that's one thing. But then he talks about building, but then he never actually builds, and that's the that's the problem. And so he has no right to talk about LeBron James, and LeBron James' school is failing. When LeBron can just bring in people who will help him make that school, more successful. But Umar Johnson has been talking about building the school for like more than a decade, I hear. And yet, up to now, I don't know. Can anybody tell me, has Umar actually built the school? And if he has, are there any children in it? Yeah, they used to draw and quarter slaves, tie the arms and the legs to horses and make them run in opposite directions to tear the person apart and things like that. We know they used to do experiments on Black women for like gynecology, and they used to experiment on people without giving them anesthetic and things like that. So If you think this is normal, acceptable behavior, Pearl, come bring yourself and we can do the same to you. It's fine. You see? And then we'll see if you think it's that bad. This is why I can't say that the founding fathers were Christians. They murdered, sexually abused, and did other things. They weren't Christians. A lot of them were Freemasons. That's why when you go to Washington, you see like symbols, you know, in the road. They said when you look at the map of Washington, you can see like an owl, you can see a compass and set square or a 5-point star or something like that. You know, these guys were not Christians. But the thing is this, to be a Freemason back in the day, you had to believe in God, because you had to blaspheme God in order to be a Freemason. So you can't really blaspheme something you don't really believe in. And then they started allowing atheists in to Freemasonry because it's like whatever. And it's like what I heard, but obviously I don't know conclusively, is that, you know, they say there's 33 degrees of Freemasonry. Some say there's more. And it's like when you get to the 32nd degree, then afterwards, because like when you go to the Masonic temple, they have like an altar, and on it has all the religious books. That's why they love ecumenicalism. This is why they love all this inclusion talk, because the people who run societies, a lot of them are part of these secret societies. And Freemasonry is a inclusive group. Like Sikhs, Hindus, Muslims, Jews, Christians, they're all there. But once you go to the 33rd degree, the only book on the altar is the Quran, because the Quran denies the deity of Jesus. And so because, you know, it's an antichrist religion, it's an antichrist group, they put the Quran on the altar. And also because the Quran has a lot of Gnosticism, like Muhammad took text from the Gnostic Gospels and like Babylon, the Talmud, which is, you know, Babylonian arts and things like that, and he put it in the Quran. So it has, like, for example, the Lord of the Rings is actually Solomon. There's a Jewish legend that Solomon had rings that he used to control demons, that he used to build the temple. So this is why Freemasons really highly regards Solomon, because he was like the alchemist and a wizard or whatever. And so the story Lord of the Rings with Sauron is actually Solomon, you know. And so this story is in Islamic texts as well, that Solomon rings that he would use to control a class of supernatural beings called jinn, which is where we get the word genie. It's not genie, it's jinni, plural of jinn. And the jinns were used to build the temple according to Muhammad. And they would go and he would make them go out and get precious stones and things like that for him, retrieve them. So this is where the story, the Lord of the Rings, comes from. The Lord of the Rings is Solomon. And this is a story that you find in the Talmud. Okay, so the same way how Freemasons venerate the Talmud and all these kind of mystical teachings, some of it has crept into Islam, which is allegedly why when you get to the altar at the 33rd degree, the only book on the altar is now a Quran. There's no other books there. And this is why when you become a Shriner, I mean, it's not just because of that, but the Shriners, they're all 33rd degree Masons, and you see they wear the Islamic fez. And it's complicated. I can't even remember because it's been a long time since I looked into that stuff. I used to be into it heavy, but I got fed up. I personally think Tariq will absolutely destroy Nick and Myron. Nick is highly overrated and doesn't say anything groundbreaking. Myron is just dumb. They know that. Yeah, definitely. I mean, Myron is not that intelligent and he's not that deep and profound, but and a lot of the stuff that these guys are saying probably came from Tariq, because Tariq obviously had a lot of books out years ago about, I think, the art of mapping and things like that. So Tommy wasn't the only person, you know, breaking this stuff down. the shrine circus, you see. Because, you know, these guys, they use charity to basically hide the fact that they do other things behind the scenes, you see. Interesting how many successful media productions have biblical origins or undertones. Lord of the Rings, Star Wars. Yeah, apparently Star Wars is about the Kabbalistic tree of life. So again, Kabbalah is Jewish mysticism. And you have a path that goes, you know, to enlightenment. Like, you know, you have a lot of people have seen the Kabbalistic tree of life. I don't think I have a picture here. Maybe I do, maybe I don't. And then if you go up the path through the middle, it's the shortest route to enlightenment, but it's also the path that's called the dark side. And I think you go through one of the chakras, which is called the Darth chakra or something like this. So wait, let me see if I can find it. So the Darth chakra is okay, that wasn't a good idea. Let me see if one of these open. Let me see. I wonder if I can open a different one of these. Let me see if I can find a picture. I don't want to lose this page. In computers. So yeah, so that's where the concept of Darth came from. Darth Vader. I wonder if I can just change this one. I don't want to. I'm trying to find a picture. I don't know where I find it. Kabbalistic tree of life. Most people have seen this anyway, but so as you can see here, most people have seen this. This is known as the Kabbalistic tree of life. You see? So that was helpful. You see? So I think one of these oh, it started playing. I think one of these so-called these discs known as chakras. Is it chakras? No, this is not the chakra. Chakra is the one where the Buddha is sitting with the cross leg. I can't remember what these discs are called now. One of them is called Darth. So you're trying to get to here at the top to be enlightened. And if you go, I think, through the middle or through one of the sides, it's called the dark side. So it's shorter, but it's more dangerous. Whereas if you take the light side of the force or the light side, then it's much better for you. See? So again, if you don't know, I mean, it's conjecture, I guess. It's conjecture, I guess. The creator of Star Wars, George Lucas, literally even said that parts of Star Wars were biblically inspired, like Luke, the chosen one, and other parts of Star Wars came from Buddhism and Hinduism. Yeah, you see. So I don't have any, you know, going back to the point at hand, I don't really have sympathy for Anton Daniels, you know, saying that he doesn't have feelings for Black women and he doesn't really care about this, that, and the other. You're gonna have fatigue when you feel like you're going to fix something where you came late and you don't really know what you're talking about. There's the video by Dr. Thunder. Shout out to him. You're not going to be able to sustain what you need to sustain when your focus is wrong, you know, because Anton Daniels likes to run behind the women, you know, when he has Six the Goddess or whoever on his channel, you know, he's practically tripping over his tongue. And yet he thought maybe because he's got some millions allegedly in the bank, that he can come in and just rule things. But you don't realize you're dealing with unruly people. So what did you expect was going to happen? Oh, it restarted the video.
Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody.
For some reason I can't.
I'm Dr. Thunder.
Mute it.
This is Rolling Thunder. Rolling Thunder.
Oh, I think it's because I got the mic plugged in. So you guys go and check that video out. I was really enjoying it. Shout out to Dr. Thunder. But yeah, Anton's heart, I'm not going to say Anton's heart wasn't in it, but Anton, just like Courtney, had the wrong perception of the space. And he felt like, I can just come in, I'm this, I'm that, I've got millions, I can get a following, and I can just say whatever, and people are going to follow me. No. It doesn't work like that. So Courtney pivoted. Anton looks like he's going to pivot. Everybody learns in the end. Everybody learns in the end that you're dealing with a stubborn people who don't necessarily want to change. And though no amount of you trying to bend their arm backwards or to shame, blame, and explain is going to make a change. What's going to make the change is, I don't want to say thinning the herd, but redirecting your resources and your attention to the people who actually want to improve themselves. Because this is something that I got from Chronicles of Judah a long time ago. You know, you need to outbreed the people who are degenerate, because the people who don't care about the future and they don't care about their own life, they are going to just have children willy-nilly and produce the next generation of dysfunctional adults. And we need people who are productive to be outbreeding the ones who are careless. You see? So that's all I really got for this one. Shout out to Dr. Thunder. This was a really interesting video. I want to watch the rest of it. I've watched nearly 3/4 of it. You know, he thought people would kowtow to him. Yeah. And that's why when I first started watching his content, I kind of liked it because it was interesting and he was talking about making money. But then after a while, it was just like he just became this fake alpha, you know, talking like he knew what was going on. If you knew what was going on, you wouldn't be this deject. You wouldn't be this disappointed, because you would know that there's a lot of people out here talking, but they're not doing. You know, he's out here talking like, you know, and this is the dishonesty of Anton Daniels. He comes from a certain family. So his family is a particular type of culture. His family has given him a certain cushion. You know, you can do things when you're supported. So Anton Daniels has a culture around him because of the fact that his family all make money. So he's kind of ignorant of the struggles that maybe the average Black person who doesn't have that safety net faces. And I'm not making a lot of excuses, but I am making an excuse because it's an uphill battle when you have to fight your family. You know, the people who should be in your corner, you know, whatever it takes. Like, you know, some of these Hispanic people we see on the media or whatever, you know, they're working 2 jobs, cleaning hotel rooms, and you see how happy and how proud they are when their child makes it into university. But then a black person will go to university, and then other black people will say, who do you think you are? You think you're better than us because you went to uni? Well, yeah, I am freaking better than you because I've got an education and I've got opportunities. And this is how the black people sabotage themselves. Instead of uplifting the people who are trying to get out of the mire, they're made to feel guilty for wanting to be more. So how can you build a society when successful people are made to feel like trash for succeeding? It's like succeed in silence. You know, be humble. Succeed and bring the spoils of your work and your labor and your sacrifice to us, but don't expect any praise or recognition in return. I mean, this is garbage. I didn't know he was a detractor, I think, until I saw a video of him walking down Woodward Avenue. Oh, a Detroiter. I didn't. Yeah, I've seen him. I mean, I've seen him walking around, but I can't remember where. He did say, because I just didn't like his attitude, and I didn't really like when I saw him leering and listening to Six the Goddess like she was saying something so meaningful. I was just like, I thought you were a wise person, but he wasn't really that. He wasn't really saying nothing. So that's all I really have for this one. You know, you cannot build a functioning society without a code of ethics, and unfortunately, it's kind of hard to implement that code when you haven't got the ability to punish. But as more men, in particular, get on code and do what they need to do, stand up for themselves, have pride, have a purpose, be their central point of origin, as Rolla Tomasi would say, you know, meaning you do things because it benefits you, it builds you up, and you have a future goal in mind. You know who you are, you know what you want, and you know the direction you're going. It's not even about doing something particularly profound, like saving the world or finding a cure for a disease or something, but having enough pride and respect for yourself that you're not going to tolerate certain treatment. It goes a long way. It goes a long way. Because when people see they can't just walk over you, people will do what you allow them to do. When they see you're a soft touch, they will start taking the piss. When they see that you stand up for yourself, regardless of what it is, they either have to respect it or come out of the way. And unfortunately, a lot of self-respect is kind of beaten out of Black men, to the point where it's hard to respect them because a lot of the things they do are not respect worthy. But as men build themselves up, you're going to get compliance more from women and respect from other men because you're showing respect to yourself. You see? So, yeah, there's a lot to be said about that. But you can't expect to be respected if you treat yourself with disrespect. Because if you don't respect you, why would anybody else respect you? It's just not logical. So I just want to shout out everybody in the chat and everybody who's going to come through later. This was a really good live stream. I really enjoyed chopping it up. You know, it's always about a stream of consciousness. I don't really write these things out. I just say whatever I'm thinking. So to George, Dimitri, because I'm a Philly in the building, Stoic One, Bronzebird. Who else came through? Bro from Brum. I remember seeing him earlier. The Afropoxin podcast, Dane C. You know, the usual suspects. It was really good. I hope everyone has a good Saturday. Stay safe. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.